It is WrestleMania week. WrestleMania, of course, Ring of Honor, NXT Stand and Deliver. We're going to talk about them all today, so stay tuned. This is Wrestle Extra.
Yo. This is a Wrestle Extra. I'm your boy, ADazzle, the Black Wrestling Advocate. Always joined by my trios team, Mekz, the WrestleManiac, if you will. And of course, the professor that is Gerrard Bonner. It is WrestleMania week. Oh, it's about to get spicy in here. We know that I believe we're gonna have like about 12 straight days of wrestling, and that's coming on our TVs, our YouTubes, our Honor Clubs, our WWE networks, our Peacocks in the US, all of that stuff, and it's about to go down WrestleMania week. One guy that I'm a little bit jealous of, but proud of at the same time, is my guy Mekz. Mekz will be heading out to LA tomorrow, today being Tuesday. You'll probably hear it or listen to this on another day, but today is Tuesday. Mekz is flying out Wednesday. Is it in the morning, mate?
Yeah.
In the morning, going over to LA with the guys from the Wrestling's podcast as well. Mekz, give us like an idea of your crazy schedule with those guys and what you're going to be getting up to during WrestleMania week.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff. Some of the guys have went out today. The rest of us are going out tomorrow. And it's starting from the day after, next day, Bloodsport. We're all going to be at Bloodsport. Same day, Wale Mania. Following day, Ring of Honor Supercard, which it looks like an incredible card at this point. 2 days of WrestleMania, then followed by the Monday night Raw show. So yeah, very, very busy. We're going to be doing daily vlogging, which you can catch on the Wrestling's channel. And as well as that, we've got other videos. The regular Wrestling's podcast is going to come to you guys from LA
Nice.
Towards the end of the week, as well as we're going to be meeting with some fans, just taking in where other people have come from, the journeys they've done. And if you want to see some more kind of fun-loving, still sports entertainment wrestling content, you can hit up our Instagram and TikTok. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we've kind of produced that, you're going to see that should be entertaining. So,
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's going on TikTok. See the Wrestling's boys doing some of the dances. Stuff like that.
I don't know about that. I can't promise you that. At the end of the day, like,
that would be entertainment.
It would be. It would be.
So let's get into it. Mekz, you mentioned one of the first shows you're going to is Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. We're seeing a few matches on that card. Gerrard, what are you most anticipating with this card, Supercard of Honor?
Well, let me first start by saying it's the most wonderful time of the year. Yes, it is WrestleMania week because all of us wrestling fans literally get to go ham this week. And it's not just WWE, as we can see Supercard of Honor really gonna kick some things off. And here's what I'm excited about. This feels like Ring of Honor on steroids. This is not the old Ring of Honor, which was good. But what they're giving us now really stacks up on paper to be one of the best cards all week long. You could argue that it might be the best one cover to cover, given all of the crazy matches that are on here, some first-time matches, dream matches, like things we never thought we would see. And again, kind of coming into 2023, we wished, we wanted, we hoped we'd get a Ring of Honor, but to get us Ring of Honor Supercard that is this stacked after 4 weeks of amazing television, yeah, I am here for all of this. I'll definitely be watching.
What match are you most anticipating?
Whew. This is tough because you've got the world title match, which I know is a big deal, but I'm pretty sure I saw El Hijo del Vikingo, who's going to be fighting on this card, and then the pure championship with Wheeler against Shibata. Like, what is happening to our lives right now? Then we're getting this crazy tag team ladder match to crown new tag team. I mean, like, there is really not a weak link on this Supercard of Honor. And that's crazy when you think about it. It's scary good. It's scary good.
Mekz, you're obviously going to be there. Apart from Vikingo, who else are you kind of looking forward to seeing? What matches is in the top of your mind?
Yeah, Vikingo versus Commander is going to be something mad. The Shibata match. Shibata is like, when I first started watching New Japan, like around 2013, when I was still kind of getting used to it, like he was like reigning then, innit? Like before his injury. So that's going to be something. The Reach for the Sky ladder match, like that's the one, because I've never seen a ladder match live.
Oh no!
So I've never seen them. I've been to indies and stuff, and I've never seen a ladder match live. So this is everything, especially with some of the talent that's going to be in that ring. Like, it's absolutely mental. So yeah, I'm expecting to lose my voice at the Ring of Honor show before we even get to WrestleMania.
I believe that,
because it's going to be something.
So speaking of this Reach for the Sky ladder match, of course, it's going to be to crown new Ring of Honor tag team champions. We have the likes of Rush and Dralistico, the Kingdom, Aussie Open, Lucha Brothers, and of course Top Flight. We were talking about Top Flight last week, you know, what their direction is, where it's going to be, you know, tag teams in AEW or being tag team in Ring of Honor. Gerrard, do you think that this is a prime opportunity? Will it be a prime opportunity for them to show who they are, or will it be an opportunity for them to become Ring of Honor tag team champions?
It's definitely the former. Definitely going to be a great opportunity for them to show who they are. As unpopular as this may be, they are probably the underdogs in this match, given the strong level of talent. I mean, the Lucha Bros, you know, have to be considered favorites, but then you have Rush and Dralistico, who are incredible. Aussie Open, which is insane. How they'll do in a ladder match, I don't know, but their track record sounds like they're going to be just fine. The Kingdom, you throw in there, their former tag champions there. Top Flight, again, is kind of the only, and I say it in air quotes, unproven of those five teams. You know what I mean? They certainly have done some things. Now, for them to win, I wouldn't say that they can't win, because the thing about ladder matches is right place, right time. Right. And if they can be right place, right time, winning over these four teams would be incredible. It would be incredible. And it would set them up for some great potential tag team title matches in defending against any of these particular teams. So I think they have as good a chance as any of these other teams because of the unpredictable nature of a ladder match.
Mekz, who do you see reaching for the sky and grabbing this ladder and grabbing these tag team titles?
I think that it's something to say that it may be brothers. And obviously with the history of the Mark Briscoe, the Jay Briscoe tragedy, I think this would be perfect for Top Flight to win here. They have come over, kind of migrated over from the AEW roster, and kind of just been, you know, right at home with Ring of Honor since they've come. And I think, you know, this could be really good for them. We're seeing like maybe somewhat of a movement of these younger tag teams getting opportunity with the Guns on AEW. The Top Flight here, I feel, you know, if they're not going to challenge the Guns, like seriously challenge and win the AEW titles anytime soon, this could be a really good kind of stomping grounds for them to, you know, get some reps under their belt. I mean, these two are brothers and they've been on the indies and stuff, but TV wise, we have not seen much of Darius and Dante together at all because of injury. So this could just be a really nice fit for them. And then, you know, eventually some type of heel tag team overcomes and comes after them. But I just feel there's something in two brothers winning. Of course, the Lucha brothers are there as well, but two brothers winning and Roosh, of course. But two brothers winning and just a nice moment with Mark Briscoe kind of doing the honors and passing the reins basically.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing a very similar thing. Obviously, we've got three teams of brothers out of the 5, and any one of these 5 could be champions. And I don't think we would have a bad word to say about any one of these teams eventually coming out and winning. I guess the 2 surprises or underdogs, as Gerrard mentioned, Top Flight, possibly the Kingdom, as much as they are former Ring of Honor tag team champions. The other 3 teams are kind of just makes you feel right. It should be one of these 3. My personal favorite out of the 5 has to be Aussie Open all day long. But as Gerrard said, I'm very excited to see what they do in a ladder match. That's going to be interesting, especially given the teams that they're facing. Top Flight would be a nice win, but I'd be quite surprised if they manage to do it. But speaking of Top Flight and in the tag team division, I think Ring of Honor, if they're keeping these teams around in Ring of Honor, this would be a very, very good place for Top Flight to stay. The AEW tag team division, as we've said, a few times here, the 6-man championship or the trios championship in AEW has kind of taken precedent over the regular tag team division. Top Flight may get lost in it all and stuff like that. But for me, I think Ring of Honor is definitely a better place for them to be. Moving on from that tag team match, we know that Athena is going to be defending her Ring of Honor Women's Championship. It's not been officially announced yet, but I'm also reading that there's a possibility this match might not even be at Supercard of Honor. It might be defended before that. Is that a bad move? Is that a good move? Do we need to see it on Supercard of Honor? Gerrard, what do you think?
I think we definitely need this on Supercard of Honor. It would be the only women's match there. And so I feel like this being the first pay-per-view for them since Ring of Honor getting its own television show, and they have prominently featured their women's division every single week. I think having the women's title on Supercard of Honor is a must. And the caliber of this match is worthy of Supercard of Honor. So as much as we've been getting great matches during the week, during their weekly show, there's got to be a build up to this. And I think this is the one that should happen against Sakazaki. I think this will be great. Right.
Mekz, what do you see happening with this match against Sakazaki for Athena?
It's got to be a win for Athena. They're putting just really good competitors in front of her at the minute. Obviously, we saw the Willow match. Now this one. There's definitely something in if it's the only women's match as well on the card, it needs to feature. This is your women's championship, so I think you don't want to set that precedence. You don't want people questioning what you're doing with the women's division, which has largely looked very promising since this TV, version of Ring of Honor has come back. So, the last thing you want to do is leave it off the card because of maybe other stuff you're planning or time or whatever. Give them what you can, but make sure you do feature them prominently. They deserve it.
As we've said already about this card, it's crazy from start to finish. It's definitely going to be exciting. Moving on throughout the further into the week, on night 1 of WrestleMania. Let me
just take this comment from
go
Steve. He goes, Athena's been on a roll from what I've seen in Ring of Honor. She has had a badass theme song as well. Let that heel heat continue, especially with the beatdown on Willow Nightingale the other week.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you're saying. They've done this, such a great job week to week, and we've said it a few times already. With the women's division, introducing new women, kind of reintroducing Athena, giving her a time, giving her a space to speak and develop this character that she has now, and all the rest of it. So it would be a very bad move for that match not to feature. But let's see what happens. As I said, moving on into the week, night 1 of WrestleMania, April 1st. Before we hit WrestleMania, we get NXT Stand and Deliver. Now, this one looks interesting. It's not as strong as the Ring of Honor card, but at the same time, there are things on this card that have my mouth watering, and I cannot wait to see. We know that 2 championships will be defended: the North American Championship, as we like to call it on this show, the African American Championship, as well as the NXT Championship as well. Of course, Wesley is going to be in the match defending his championship against 4 other competitors. This one is about to be an absolute madness. Mekz, what are you anticipating for this match at Stand and Deliver?
So hold on, let's go for the competitors. It's Wesley?
Yep. I know that Dragon Lee.
Lee's match.
We've got Dragon Lee. We've got JD McDonough.
Yeah.
And
Ilya.
Ilya.
Dragunov. That's what I'm doing this, and I'm like, what's his name again? What's his name?
Yes, it's Ilya. Yeah. And we'll find out the 5th one tonight, I believe.
Yeah, which I can assume if it's not Axiom, it's probably going to be Axiom.
Yeah,
because he's been kind of lobbying for it for a minute now. Yeah, this is going to be probably the most takeover-ish match on the card. Wesley absolutely delivered on the it wasn't a takeover, but whatever the last pay-per-view was.
But Vengeance Day.
Vengeance Day. He absolutely delivered against Hijack. Like, so I can only imagine this is gonna be, 10 times madder sort of thing. I am half expecting Wesley to retain. I think there's other stories in here being told, especially between McDonough and Ilya. Whoever that last person's going to be as well. Dragon Lee, probably a bit too early, but a good, strong showing from him on his debut. I do expect Wesley to retain. I think the open challenge thing that he's doing has been very entertaining, but it's going to lead to his demise if they effectively book it, how it should be, in my opinion. So someone is going to come in or possibly come down from the main roster and, challenge him and possibly take that from him.
Interesting. Gerrard, what are your thoughts on this match?
I'm so excited about this. It's funny. I think we've really seen the rise of Wesley going all the way back to Halloween Havoc when he won the championship. And I don't know that people were expecting him to win with Carmelo Hayes in that match, but he won, and he's really been on fire ever since. Vengeance Day was amazing. His match with Nathan Frazier was unbelievable. So it's like this man right now, it's funny. We were just talking about the role that Athena is on from a heat perspective. You could say a similar thing right now about Wesley. He is on the role of his career right now. And I think, he is very comfortable carrying this on his shoulder. And I think we're about to see a crazy match. It's it's going to be a lot of wrestling, and that's going to be very, very special.
Right. If we add Axiom, we're anticipating it's going to be Axiom as the 5th person to have Axiom, Wesley, Dragon Lee. We've got all that high flying stuff happening. You've still got McDonough, who can do that stuff, but then you've still got the hard hitting stuff that from him and Ilya as well. It's about to be mental. So the other match that we're closely keeping our eye on is the NXT Championship match between Bron Breakker and, of course, him. That is Carmelo Hayes. Is the conclusion written in the stars? Is it just Carmelo Hayes is walking out as NXT champion? Is there a possibility? I don't think there is. Is there a possibility Bron Breakker retains?
Oh, did he freeze?
Oh, I'm afraid so.
He's doing so well. Is there a possibility? Is there a possibility Bron Breakker retains at all?
I'll answer his question. I think he knows he's going. ADazzle, you back?
I'm here.
Okay, you froze a bit. So I think you're asking, is there any possibility Bron Breakker wins?
Yes.
No. No is the answer. the fireworks they've been bought and they've been set up. The nameplates have been made. Like this is the coronation of the next guy, sort of thing. They're billing this match as, you know, the youngest takeover main event or NXT main event or whatever they're calling it. And it's been great for Bron Breakker. I think he may have slightly overstayed his welcome, where you see the crowd kind of turning on him. Probably no fault through, you know, in his own. Triple H obviously came in, and then, you know, that might have messed up scheduling for what they wanted to do with him, and let's just hold him down here for a bit longer and stuff like that. But yeah, the crowd are beginning to get bored. I think the crowd still like him, but they're beginning to get bored. Carmelo has been that guy for a very, very long time now. Almost twiddling his thumbs since he dropped the North American title. So everything's ready. Everything's ready. And, you know, apart from, God forbid, you know, a serious injury in that match and they call an audible and Bron, you're retaining, this has to be Carmelo's. There's no other way to cut it. The only thing I hope is that, you know, it's a clean win. Like, I know, what's his face? Trick is playing like some type of like nefarious games in the background last week, trying to play some mental, you know, gymnastics with Bron Breakker. Like, Carmelo deserves a clean win over this guy, and I don't think it takes away nothing from Bron Breakker. And he can just, you know, ride off into the sunset into main roster, which is but guaranteed he's a main roster talent post Mania. So yeah.
Gerrard, we know, or we've heard ramblings with Carmelo Hayes. He was on the bump last week, and he was asked the question: would he change the NXT Championship, of course, with its current rainbow design that we've seen for about a year now, almost a year. Do you think it would make sense to change the championship at all, or, you know, does it even matter?
Well, I think the rainbow piece is kind of the throw to the 2.0 era, as that's when that belt showed up. This is obviously a brand new era representing brand new things. And I think that is exactly what him does. He represents a whole new era, a real throwback to the NXT era, which says we're not built on muscle-bound guys, but we're built on the guys who are most talented. And there's nobody on that NXT roster more talented than Carmelo Hayes. I think it is a brilliant move that they've kept them apart for this long, so that we get the match that we actually want. And I'll just say it this way: Earth, Wind, and Fire already told us what was going to happen. They said it's written in the stone. It's going to happen. Bank on it like it was Mercedes Monet. Bank on it. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Then we'll see, of course, Braun show up on Monday night on Raw. It'll be great. Like, we'll all be happy to see him there because he's an NXT come up. All good, but it is time. It's time. It's Carmelo time.
Just quickly, assuming obviously Carmelo does win, obviously we had Keith Lee as a black NXT champion down there. Is there anyone else that I'm missing?
Big E was the second one.
Big E, of course. Yeah.
He beat Seth Rollins, but that was however long ago.
Yeah, it was a different time, different era. I'm just thinking that, you know, I don't think it's even too outlandish to say from now Carmelo Hayes will be the best black NXT champion. We have like Big E's was literally a different lifetime, different NXT altogether. Keith Lee, his run at the top just wasn't that long.
No, it wasn't.
It was bad. It just wasn't long. So yeah, I think just, you know, as a black person making a stamp there, he's won the North American title, the African American title, so which is a rite of passage for all black talent on NXT. So yeah, with him winning the NXT title, yeah, he can really, you know, put his flag into the ground and, you know, say he was like you know, one of the forefathers, black fathers of NXT. You know, he's proper done everything down there. So yeah, big weekend ahead.
Yeah, definitely. We know that Shawn Michaels, who is head of creative and kind of books everything in NXT right now, we know he's a massive fan of Carmelo Hayes. Kind of almost sees him as almost like a version of him as well. In many ways. And Mekz just mentioned about, you know, Carmelo being, you know, like a forefather, or, you know, a pillar, if you want to use that term, of NXT. Do we see the possibility of Carmelo Hayes being in the similar conversations to your Samoa Joe, your Finn Balor, your Kevin Owens of NXT, and your Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampas of NXT? Is that a possibility, Gerrard?
I think time will tell. He's got all of the capabilities to be that. You know, as we were thinking about it, we have thought so much about him becoming champion. We've not considered who would be his challengers. And I haven't thought that far ahead in terms of who would be the guys to challenge him. But as I'm talking, I'm thinking of a few names that could make things very interesting. For instance, all 5 of the guys that are in that North American title match, they all aren't going to stay there. So, you know, a world where we have Dragon Lee versus Carmelo Hayes, yikes, sign me up. You know what I mean? Dijak would make for a great match in there. Dragunov would make for JD McDonough. Like, literally, the list is pretty big, which does rival the kind of talent that was around for, you know, Adam Cole when he was champion, or when, you know, Finn Balor was champion, or when Kevin Owens was champion, or Samoa Joe or Shinsuke. So I think the amount of talent that they have are really going to help determine what this reign for Carmelo looks like. Carmelo's proven he can hang with anybody in there. So now we've got some talent that's at that level that would make for great matches. So I think we've got potential to see a long reigning, very special champion, you know, barring anything crazy happening.
As an early prediction, assuming as well that, like, okay, firstly, my first prediction, I think the Wesley thing could continue. Like, if Wesley was to drop that title and then chases, you know, Carmelo for the NXT title, and they do that because, you know, right now Carmelo ain't got a win over Wesley, so
this is true.
You know that there's something on him there. There's a bit of chink in the armor, and then I think Wesley just more and more he's coming across super personable, and people really like him. And there's something in that. My second prediction was that it seems like in recent weeks they're making Carmelo a bit of a face character, you know, just to kind of sweeten him up to the crowd a bit more. And I think I saw something about Pete Dunne is returning to NXT. So I think because Pete Dunne's done everything in NXT, they will literally slap the NXT championship on him, like at the next best opportunity. And then they might even run back the clock with, you know, days of Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne later on down the line. But I think Pete Dunne would be a great, Tyler Bate's someone as well. But I think Pete Dunne would be a great person to beat Carmelo, effectively sending Carmelo to the main roster and then hold the fort in NXT for a bit as well.
That was going to be my question as well. Like, who would be the next challenger, or the first challenger, or first few, if, you know, Bron Breakker does go to the main roster and Carmelo is the champion. We've mentioned, you know, Pete Dunne, Wesley. We have to mention Tyler Bate, the former two-time NXT UK champion as well. He's still he's back in the mix. He's having a match with mixing things up with Chase U. You know,
spinning these wheels.
Moving
it's just a holder.
Holding pattern.
That's all. Yeah.
You know, and there are so many. You know, Dijak is another one who's definitely a good one. But for me personally, I feel as though, you know, and it's a bit of an unpopular opinion because so many people want Carmelo Hayes to go straight to the main roster as soon as possible and do his thing there. You know, maybe, you know, be part of the Hurt Business, have MVP behind him, all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff there. But I think it's very, very important that Carmelo Hayes has a very strong run as the NXT champion, to have, you know, to have a list of defenses against the likes of Wesley, Dragunov, McDonough, Dijak, Tyler Bate, the possibility of Pete Dunne. Steve just said it as well. Carmelo versus Pete Dunne is printing money. That is literally is my dream match. That's literally my dream match. My hometown boy Pete Dunne against the guy who I've been following from the second I started, doing this whole thing.
I genuinely think that is on the cards. Like, they've said that Pete Dunne's getting his name back and that he might go back to NXT. If that happens, it's happening. Happening, so.
Oh my gosh,
that's crazy.
Wow.
And we can't forget there was still Apollo Crews as well. Because their whole thing happened as well. There's a possibility he could come back for him as well. His whole thing about coming back down to NXT was to come for the NXT championship. So he may come back again for that as well. So that would be very interesting. There's so much stuff that can be done. And what's nice about NXT now is, like I think Gerrard kind of said it as well earlier, is that there are so many people that are very similar in terms of the physique, their style, all that kind of stuff. So when you put these people together, magic, it's going to be magic regardless. And I'm just hoping that storylines and build-ups and all the rest of it kind of match now the matches that we're anticipating and that we're going to see.
So you asked the question to Gerrard around with the names of like Gargano, Balor, Ciampa. Will Carmelo's legacy kind of follow suit? Now, I don't want to sound negative, but I think unfortunately not, just because of NXT and not because of the man. Like NXT is literally a different place to what it was when these guys made their name. It was the go-to place. It was Ring of Honor with a budget. There was no AEW. It was just different. And now we obviously see a lot more focus on the developmental side. So to some degree, it's like Carmelo Hayes is a big fish in a small, pond, as they say, in a little, home-based fish tank sort of thing. Like, there's a massive shark, in there, to be honest. Like, we've known about him. I know even before I started on the YouTube and all that stuff, I've been watching your page, ADazzle, and you've been posting about Kishi Casanova for ages. So, we've been knowing about him. He's a shark compared to these men. So it's almost like he hasn't had that journey. He hasn't had any. And it's interesting when we're talking about possible people you can go against, because it's the adversaries that will make your reign as well, like your main rivals. And right now, as much as there's good matches there, the field of characters, they're just not as strong as some of these names that we've known for 10 or 15 years before they've even got to NXT. So it's a bit of a different place, but I think he's definitely writing his name in history for like the new school as opposed to alongside them man before.
To that point, I think one of the things that we're seeing, which I think is taking a little time, when NXT made the decision to rebrand from 2.0 back to NXT, they also decided to start focusing on better matches and better caliber of wrestlers. So we also saw the infusion or the absorption, I should say, of NXT UK. So we got all of those wrestlers, which ended up kind of raising the stakes of NXT to feel like the kinds of matches we would have before, So that's where, and so to that end, I think if Carmelo Hayes wins the championship on Saturday, it's not just a statement about Carmelo Hayes, but it's a statement about NXT. Because to your point, Mekz, there was nobody who could hang with him. Who were you going to put in there? And I don't want to name names because I don't want to get in trouble. But who were you going to put in there, right? So because there really wasn't anybody to go with that, now they have built up that undercard to now where, we rattled off 6 people who initially I hadn't thought about. But when we think about them, they all make for great matches. They all make for great programs. And that's the kind of sauce that made us love the black and gold, where we loved the Finn Balor's and all of those kinds of title reigns. So that's where I'm like, it's a statement when Carmelo wins. It is saying we have officially, for real, left the 2.0 era. And now, once again, and I think the signing of Dragon Lee says that.
Yeah.
Because remember, they went for a while, they weren't touching indie wrestlers or anything like that.
Right.
So to sign a major signing like Dragon Lee says, oh, we're not just putting our focus in the NIL program. We are focused on the best talent, because not only do they have to compete still with AEW, but you throw Ring of Honor, which many would argue could be the NXT of AEW. We got a whole new wrinkle here, you know?
Right.
And that is filling, the Ring of Honor space is filling the void that AEW missed and that NXT 2.0 couldn't fill. So this makes things very interesting for NXT. They're probably in a bigger pickle to have better quality matches and more quality talent than we realize.
And I think, you know, Mekz, I think your point is brilliant, but at the same time, I think it's almost like you can't compare, as you said, but I think because of this new era and because Carmelo Hayes is kind of so far ahead, especially in how he's been booked over the last year or two, and the way that he has been protected by the higher ups in NXT, I think over time he will be put in that same in the same conversation as your Finn Balor and stuff like that, but in a very different way. So I think what you're saying is very correct, because before we had Adam Cole, Finn Balor, Shinsuke, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, all in the same place at the same time. Right. That was just crazy to us at that time. And then we're signing guys like Swerve and Keith Lee and Dijakovic and whoever else, and you know, and all the rest of it. So it was definitely a very different time. But I think because, as we've already said, that so many of the guys now in NXT are on a very similar wavelength, I think it does give Carmelo the chance to become that top tier NXT talent that in 3 or 5 years to come, we'll be looking back at his career in NXT and saying he was as good as Finn Balor, he was as good as Johnny Gargano and all the rest of it. But it's it will be in a very, very different way. So that, I think that point was perfect. Moving away, and later on that evening, Saturday, April the 1st, we get WrestleMania Night 1. We know of one match that's happening that evening. That's actually kicking off the show, which is Austin Theory versus John Cena. I want to talk about some of the bigger matches, not just our own people in on the WrestleMania card that we know of. But let us talk about the one thing and just get it off our chest from now. I didn't know, and I'm so upset that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is actually happening. The worst part of it all is that Bobby Lashley was the first name on that list that they showed on Raw. His name was right at the top. Now, it confirms to us that there's going to be no Bobby Bray. That's confirmation. We kind of had this whole thing of Bray being injured, Bobby making a statement saying he'll face anyone and all the rest of it. He's not just facing anyone. He's facing like 19, 29, I can't remember how many is in the match, other men. What in the world is going on? What in the Hollywood is going on? Mekz, I'll let you go first.
I mean, obviously we've been pushing the campaign here of Gerrard's Dream for the past 2 to 3 weeks, and it really put a dagger in my heart when I was watching Raw and I saw Bobby turn up next to Elias saying that, oh, you think you're gonna win? I was like, you shouldn't be feeding into this. You should be going to Pierce and saying, like, why am I in this?
What the hell? Yeah.
But yeah, it's almost kind of ended Gerrard's dream, unfortunately. There is still a glimmer of hope, but you know, it's kind of showing us down one route right now. I mean, I'm still hoping maybe if Bobby wins this battle royal on SmackDown, maybe he gets a random match with, I don't know, like an LA Knight or something on the actual card. I feel like he's done so much high profile and fantastic work this past year to end up here somewhat through circumstance because his opponent is injured. is just a damn shame. It's just a really, really bad consolation prize, because at the end of the day, it's not even on WrestleMania. The Battle Royals on SmackDown, so it's unfair. Life is cruel, but yeah. But you know, just to quickly chat about Omos, I think let's go ahead. Let's do it. Like, we're here now. Let's do it. I think it says a lot anyway. Brock Lesnar saying that he would rather face Omos than the spookiness of Bray Wyatt. Apparently he turned that down in a flash. So yeah, if it's gonna be a quick 5-minute match, Omos winning, because that is very crucial to all of this. Let's do it.
Gerrard, go on.
If I can borrow a phrase from the 1988 presidential campaign of one Reverend Jesse Jackson, keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. In my head, I was equally, disappointed about Bobby Lashley, the two-time WWE champion, who had a very lengthy and powerful reign, being announced in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on SmackDown. He didn't even go there. So why? Why? Right? This doesn't make any sense. But then my glimmer of hope rose because, that does not necessarily preclude him from finding his way and bogarting his way into a WrestleMania match. Whether it's LA Knight, whether, if Brock beats Omos, or even if Omos beats Brock, somehow Lashley comes out. I'm just refusing to give up hope until they said the final amen Sunday night and convocation is over. And if I don't see Lashley, don the pulpit, I'm going to feel some kind of way. But I still have hope. He's going to do something. Because I think even he's got to sit back and say, wait a minute, guys, I didn't do anything to deserve being in this spot at a WrestleMania. This is the same man you trusted 2 years ago when you were finally starting to bring fans back from COVID to be the opening match at WrestleMania. And this man retained the world title. You've trusted this man for the last few years. Don't give Drew McIntyre a more high-profile match than you give Bobby Lashley. No knock to McIntyre, because he's a great guy. But Lashley is equally great. You have 2 whole nights of WrestleMania. I don't believe that either night is 100% full. You have enough room. I don't know that there are any rock concerts or rap concerts happening during the show. So I think we have enough room to go ahead and make way for Pastor Lashley to come on down and to share the good word of the Almighty. He can absolutely do this. Don't allow Bray's absence to be his absence. Not his fault. Not his fault at all. He deserves better. And as for Omos, I will say this. I was very nervous about this. I'm still nervous, but last night was actually decent interaction between Omos and Lesnar, and it moved faster than I thought it would, which gives me a little bit of hope that this could be entertaining. Now, again, I don't know how long we go with this, right? Like, do we set Omos up for 10 full minutes? Is he capable of 10 full minutes? I don't think so. This is going to be Smash Mouth. It needs to be a train wreck. It needs to be brutal. It needs, because the visuals of it are enough to make you go, okay, I'm interested to see, can Brock get this guy up in an F5, or can Brock get chokeslammed by Omos? Something significant needs to happen, though. And I really believe before the night's over, we'll be talking about Lashley somehow getting his hands either on Omos or Brock Lesnar. Make room for the Almighty. Keep hope alive.
Amen.
Amen.
Keep it alive.
I just don't. I'm upset. I'm scared. I'm worried for Lashley's involvement now in 2 nights of WrestleMania. Now, him winning the Andre the Giant match could definitely set him up to kind of make even more noise about not being on the WrestleMania card. and he does something of his own accord, and it goes the way that Gerrard's been dreaming for the last month or so. But I just don't know. There's nothing to say that it's going to happen, but at the same time, there's nothing to say it's not going to happen. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Those 3 days from SmackDown through to the second night of WrestleMania is going to be very interesting to see where and how Bobby Lashley features throughout this whole thing. I'm just distraught that I just saw his name right at the top of that list, and I'm just like, is this what we're doing? Really?
And
Really?
let me just say now, if he doesn't win this,
I just had that thought.
Oh my word!
I just had that thought. Yeah.
That's
oh
what
my!
I'm gonna say.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's move on before I get all teary-eyed. We know as well. That Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, the Street Profits, Ricochet, and with Braun Strowman, American Alpha, and Viking Raiders all feature in this crazy tag team showcase. We talked about this last week, so we probably won't stay on this too long. And I'll ask the question again as I did last week. How do you think this one's going to go? What's going to happen? Mekz, are you anticipating anything specific in this match at all?
I'm anticipating Alpha Academy to split. Yeah, that's probably about it. I don't think we're going to get any dissension between Street Profits, which is what I guess some people think. But after their 8-man tag they had on Raw this past week, I think this will be a good match. Like if Triple H, we have to remember this is a Triple H style WrestleMania. Like if they do, like if he books this like almost like a PWG style tag team match, like give them 10 minutes and just everyone just do spots after spots after spots. And I think this could be, you know, quite a bit of fun, and we actually get the showcase element. It's still missing stakes for me. Like it would have done absolutely nothing for them to say the winner gets the first shot at the tag team champions on Monday night after Raw. Like, but you know, the showcase element, if they book it well, they can deliver on that, because we know everyone in this match, you know, has a great spot within them. So I'm slightly looking forward to this.
You mentioned tag teams, and as I said, I don't want to talk about just our own people on the WrestleMania card, but some of the bigger matches as well. You mentioned tag teams. Of course, we're finally getting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn together again against the Usos. We also know, of course, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. A question was asked on Instagram by the great Haven Rain, who loves to, you know, put a few questions out there, and she says, "What happens to the bloodline come WrestleMania? If Roman wins and the Usos lose, then what? If the Usos win and Roman loses, then what? If they all win, if they all lose?" Gerrard, what is your prediction when it comes to this whole bloodline story, and where is it going? What do you think in your mind will happen with this whole thing?
Well, I think we saw the first official crack in the armor last night with Solo getting his first loss. I came into it expecting a DQ. I just figured there'd be interference. We're going to protect Solo's undefeated streak. It's going to be chaos or whatever. So when the Usos came down, I was like, here we go. You know, like, this is what I'm expecting. But then for them to be confronted, of course, by KO and Sammy, and then all of a sudden this turns into a pinfall, shocked me. You've got Paul Heyman on the phone. Clearly, it seems like he's talking to Roman. We've got cracks in the armor, folks. Could it be a clean sweep? I feel like we could be in a world where KO and Sammy win the titles and somehow Roman retains. I think that's a possibility. I will say, if we have a world where they all lose, Monday Night Raw is going to be a problem.
That's the world I'm trying to be in.
Yeah, that's going to be because they're going to go roughshod over everybody. Nobody's leaving Raw safe. Nobody. I love the fact that it's all so unpredictable right now that because on one hand, Roman is so close to getting that 1,000 days that I don't know that they want to cause him to lose for that 1,000, to miss that 1,000 days, because you can't get that back. You can't run that back. You know what I mean? The other side of it is, the whole year that we've seen with Cody, granted, there's been about 6 to 9 months out because of the injury, but, Cody's story is very significant. The promos have been fantastic. A lot of people are here to see Cody win the title. So, yeah, it's a toss-up. It's a real toss-up. And I'm here for all of it, because whichever way it goes, we know Monday night and the next month or so are going to get very, very interesting. I guess what's more valuable? Is it Roman going after the 1,000 days and Cody chasing the belt? Or is it Cody winning at Mania and seeing how Roman responds to a loss and what that does to the bloodline? And God forbid, that scenario of the Usos winning and Roman losing, that might really be the best of both worlds. Because now, how can you, Tribal Chief, tell me what to do when you can't even keep your championship? But we did. And now Jay makes the play.
I think that would be the most interesting. I believe the most realistic is the Usos losing, Roman retaining. All of them winning, maybe, but I then don't know what that does to further any bloodline story, or where it kind of gives you less to work with. All of them losing.
I've got a video coming out on my channel maybe in the next 2 days or so I won't say too much, but it's addressing exactly this. But what I will say is that they're gonna want to make Raw after Mania again. And like Gerrard was saying, the chaos going into that show. Like I've been even thinking, if we get the tag match on the night 1 and then going into night 2, whether it's online or they do a vignette during the night 2 show before Roman's match, of almost Roman lambasting them, like saying, I'm off my game, I'm not focused because you you lost and everything like that. And that's almost his excuse to then lose to Cody and then blame these lot afterwards. Like I think there is a lot of stock in even just, if we're gonna even continue the bloodline story just a bit further before the eventual crack or whatever, everything has to go. Everyone needs to lose their weight over the weekend. Like, and then on Monday, it's just a cauldron. Like, yeah, that's what we're waiting to see over anything else.
I think for me, sorry, Gerrard, I was going to say real quickly, I think for me, the one thing that feels like a guarantee is whatever the outcome is of the championship match, Solo is going to be in the middle of it. I think that's almost guaranteed. Whether it's Cody that wins or Roman that wins, Solo's going to have a part to play. Whether it's by accident, whether it's on purpose, he attacks one of them. It's going to be him in the middle of it. I feel like that's the only guarantee that may be there. That's my strongest prediction.
The other thing I was thinking about is the hallmark. Certainly, I think, if my memory serves it correct, at least since Royal Rumble, maybe a little longer, has been what happens after the show. Triple H has brought his NXT takeover mindset to these pay-per-views so that, okay, we're talking about the end of the main event, but we're talking about what happened after that. And so we could have a scenario. Should Roman retain, and he does what he's done before and says, who's left? There's nobody for me to beat. And then the music drops. Here comes The Rock. Because at this point, this is not The Rock signing up for a WrestleMania match.
Right.
It's The Rock literally showing up, and they've been eerily quiet about The Rock. Nobody's talking about him. The XFL is over in this little world, and you've got nobody The Rock's name hasn't been mentioned in a month. Nobody. It's all been deliberate, guys. It's all been Triple H evaded the question there at the Royal Rumble. I'm telling you, that happens in LA, the world's talking. Mekz has no voice for the show next week. It's done.
I literally thought about this.
To say.
I literally thought about this 2 days ago, and I just put it to the back of my head immediately. I said, "Stop setting yourself up for disappointment." But listen, it can happen. It can happen.
Win or lose, it could happen.
Right. Right.
Because now it's the battle over who's the tribal chief. I heard you all this time, sir. How can you be the tribal chief and you're not even the world champ?
Oh.
We've all put it out of our heads. He doesn't have to wrestle. He doesn't have to wrestle. That music has to hit. We go up.
Listen, it's a thing like this as well because The Rock has a lot less to do nowadays.
Yes.
You know, as you said, the XFL's done. His whole thing with Black Adam, that's done. His whole DC relationship, that's done. He has a little bit more time on his hands right now. And as you said, you know, it kind of sprung to my mind a couple of days ago, or, you know, in the last few days, momentarily, with no one saying a word about The Rock. And I think that's almost like perfect for Triple H. I think that's almost like what they wanted and needed to happen.
Yes.
So no one talks about it for so long. No one's anticipating. No one's waiting for it. Everyone's talking about Sammy. Everyone's talking about Cody. Everyone's talking about Roman and Solo, Jay. No Dwayne.
Yeah.
How does that affect Cody's moment, though?
Well, that's the question. The question is, and I thought about that. If Cody wins, he has the celebratory moment. You know, it certainly can happen, but it also depends on how he wins. Like, is he injured? Is he, you know, like what happens? Is this a moment where he celebrates? Because, you know, Triple H is good for letting the credits roll and getting you almost to the end. So we could see the full celebration. We could see Cody up at and Roman left in the ring dejected. And then the music drops. It doesn't have to happen immediately. He lets this thing simmer. It can simmer. We can see Cody all the way at the top of the Tron at the stadium, and he walks out, and in the ring, dejected is Roman, just sitting there, and then boom.
Don't. Oh, the goosebumps. Oh, because I was thinking, because we're just talking about if Cody wins. I was thinking, the whole Rock thing will happen on Raw, because Roman will come out, start talking all this stuff, and then boom, we get it. But that right there, whatever happens, we're putting too much hope in Meks's veins right now. But I think whatever happens,
I was sitting in Cardiff in the press box when Solo made his debut and made the save. And I screamed like a girl, and people were looking at me like, "You're crazy, you're mad." People were like, "Who is this guy?" One,
yeah.
Two, who is the guy that's just made the save? Like, people weren't watching NXT, weren't so familiar.
Right.
If The Rock comes out,
I'm telling you guys,
God, the noise.
I'm telling you. And here's the thing: this is Triple H's first WrestleMania. He wants there to be moments.
100.
He wants us to talk about this for the next week. He wants the socials to go crazy. What else is going to send them into a frenzy than that? Doesn't require a whole match.
Wow. Guys, on that note, this is the end of our show. I should start playing the Rock's music. If you smell
right. Up. Do you hear me? Oh man.
Guys, you have been watching Wrestle Extra. I'm your boy ADazzle. You're watching on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, especially this week. Hit that notification bell as Mekz will be putting out all of his shenanigans during WrestleMania week in LA. Of course, also follow the Wrestling's channel, who will also be there alongside Mekz, doing all the stuff, going to WrestleMania, Supercard of Honor, and everything else that they can get their hands on. You can follow Mekz on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel. You can follow him on Instagram, WrestleManiac.uk, and on Twitter, WrestleManiac UK. Follow this guy, Gerrard Bonner, on everywhere he is, on Bonafide, on all platforms, and of course his own show, The Faction Show, as well. Follow me here, ADazzle, on Black Wrestle Alliance on Instagram, BWA Dazzle on Twitter. We will try and keep you updated with as much stuff as possible as this week goes and goes and goes and goes. And then we hear If You Smell, and we will all lose our lives out of sheer shock and amazement. Guys, this has been our show, and we might see you next week if Mekz still has his voice and his hearing.
One service
voice in
announcement
LA.
for the people. The
Go
show
for it.
will be on Wednesday next week.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
Tuesday.
Yes.
It will be on Wednesday next week because Mekz has to recover from the week, but he also is traveling on Tuesday. So yeah, catch us next week, Wednesday, at the same time, 6:30 GMT, 1:30 EST, and we will see you next week if we're still alive.
Peace.